My name is Ellie, but my friends call me Fran. I think the best way to start this is just to say it straight out. I take medication now. It sounds like such a simple thing, right? Waking up, pouring a glass of tap water, and swallowing a small pill before the sun even comes up. But for me, that tiny daily routine represents a massive tectonic shift in my reality. I wanted to tell my story today because I know there are other people out there sitting in perfectly clean rooms carrying the exact same heavy, invisible baggage I have been dragging around for years. For a really long time, I was completely drowning, and the scariest part was that the water was entirely in my own head. I was carrying around the suffocating weight of being a victim of childhood trauma. I won't go into the graphic details, but I will tell you what it does to you. When you go through dark things when you are young, before you even know how the world is supposed to work, it completely fractures the foundation of who you are. You don't know how to trust people. You don't know how to sleep through the night without waking up covered in a cold sweat. You don't even know how to trust your own brain. Because I couldn't process what had happened to me, and because I had absolutely zero control over my past, my brain tried to find control wherever it could. That is how my obsession started. It didn't happen all at once. It became this quiet, consuming need to punish my own body, trying to make myself physically smaller, trying to fade into the background of my own life. It became a ticker tape of numbers running behind my eyes 24 hours a day. It ate away at my energy, my humor, and my personality until I was just a ghost haunting my own apartment. When you are spiraling that hard, it makes people incredibly uncomfortable. People don't know what to do with a friend who feels fundamentally broken. They want the fun version of you, not the version that stares at a wall for 2 hours. I remember the exact week my friend group decided they were done with me. I was sitting on my living room floor, staring at my phone. I watched our shared group text thread go completely silent for 4 days. Then, on a Saturday afternoon, I saw a photo on social media. All of them sitting at a brunch place we used to go to every single weekend. Nobody had texted me. Nobody had asked if I was okay. They just closed ranks and cast me out. Losing the people I thought would always be there for me didn't make me angry. It just reinforced this awful, quiet belief I already had in my head that I was inherently unlovable, that I was simply too damaged to keep around. If you understand what it feels like to be abandoned when you need people the most, you might want to hit subscribe before I keep going, because how I finally dragged myself out of that dark place is something I think a lot of people need to hear. On top of all that rejection, I was fighting a massive, terrifying war inside my own identity. I was trying so hard to push down the realization that I am gay. Coming to terms with that felt impossible at the time. It felt like just one more massive complication, one more reason for people to leave me, one more way I didn't fit into the normal world. I think that terror of being abandoned, combined with that deep confusion about who I was, is exactly why I stayed with my long-term boyfriend for as long as I did. When you are desperately clinging to the idea of being normal, you will tolerate a lot of highly abnormal things. Looking back now, the relationship was not a partnership. It was a psychological prison. He didn't yell. That was the terrifying part. He had this very quiet, very reasonable voice that he used to control absolutely everything. He would watch me get dressed, look at a sweater I loved, and ask, "Are you really wearing that out of the house?" Just a simple question, but the weight behind it made me change my clothes 3 times before we left. He monitored the friends I was allowed to text. He corrected the words I used in public. And when it came to my personal boundaries, my reluctance, my tears, or my discomfort simply did not matter to him. I didn't have the vocabulary back then to understand what was happening to me. I thought that maybe this was just what love looked like when you were as broken and difficult as I was. The turning point didn't happen with a dramatic fight.
It started with a few free counseling sessions at a clinic downtown. I sat down across from this therapist in a room that smelled like old paper and peppermint tea, fully expecting her to just tell me I was crazy and send me home. Instead, she listened to me pour out my messy, chaotic life for an entire hour. She didn't interrupt, and when I was done, she introduced me to a phrase I had never heard before: anxious attachment. Hearing those two words and learning what they actually meant was like someone turning the headlights on while I was driving on a pitch-black highway. It explained absolutely everything. It explained why I clung to friends who clearly didn't want me. It explained why I let my boyfriend dictate my every move. I was so terrified of being abandoned that I would sacrifice every single piece of my own comfort, my own body, and my own dignity just to keep someone beside me. Once you know the name of the cage you are in, it becomes a lot easier to find the door. Eventually, I packed a bag while he was at work, walked out, and never went back. Leaving that man was for the best, but the aftermath was eye-opening in a terrifying way. A few months later, I started getting involved in a local alternative support community for women who had survived extreme psychological control. It was an absolute revelation. I remember walking into a meetup, terrified, waiting to be judged. Instead, I learned what real, enthusiastic consent actually looks like. Someone asked if they could give me a hug, and when I hesitated, they just smiled, stepped back, and said, "No problem."
No anger, no quiet punishment, no manipulation. It made me realize that my past relationship with my ex-boyfriend wasn't just a bad match. It was an absolute 24/7 psychological prison that I had never consented to. He had forced that level of extreme control onto me under the guise of a traditional relationship. The people I have met in this new community are so incredibly nice. Everything is built on boundaries, respect, and communication. Being around people who explicitly respect my physical space has helped me reclaim my own body. And through all this, I am finally allowing myself to explore who I really am. I still don't know for absolute certain if I am gay or if my lack of attraction to men is just a byproduct of being severely traumatized by them for years. It is incredibly confusing. But there is a girl that I like right now. She remembers how I take my coffee, she listens to me without trying to fix me, and the emotions I have when I am around her are so much more complex and deep than anything I have ever felt before. It feels different. It feels real. Some other things have changed recently too. My old friends, the ones who cast me out when my trauma was at its worst, eventually came back. They sat on my couch, they cried, and they apologized. We talked it out, and I forgave them. Having them back healed a very large part of my heart. But I will not lie to you, when it is late at night and the house is dead quiet, I still lay awake and think about the dead silence on that group text thread. Sometimes I wonder if I am really as healed as I think I am, or if I'm just pretending because it's easier to have flawed friends than no friends at all. I am not perfectly fixed. The shadow of my anxiety still changes sizes depending on the day. A few weeks ago, I actually forgot to get a refill for my medication, and things got pretty dark again. I couldn't get out of bed for 2 days, but I picked up that refill yesterday, so hopefully I will be back on track soon. If you were to walk into my bedroom right now, you would probably think I am the most organized, put-together person in the world. My room is incredibly clean, it's minimalist, it looks peaceful. But the reality is, my room is only this clean because a little while ago, I spent 3 days putting my entire life into black trash bags. I decluttered and gave away almost everything I owned. I baxed up my favorite books and gave them to a thrift store. I threw away my mementos.
I was making sure I wouldn't leave a mess behind. I was so exhausted, so completely drained by the weight of existing, that I was ready to pack a single bag, disappear in the middle of the night, and completely erase myself from everyone's lives so I wouldn't be a burden anymore. I wanted to be a ghost before I actually walked out the door. But I am still here. The plan stopped. The room is still clean, but now I am using it to live in rather than escape from. I can't sit here and tell you that I am completely happy. To be brutally honest, I haven't really known what true, uncomplicated happiness feels like since I was 15 years old. But things are getting better. The air feels just a little bit lighter to breathe. My name is Ellie, but my friends call me Fran. I have been through hell, I have a complicated brain, and I still have a lot of healing left to do. But I am blonde, I am pretty, and for the first time in a very long time, I think I am actually starting to like who I am again. I would love to know if any of you have ever had to rebuild yourself from absolute zero, or if you've ever dealt with anxious attachment. Let me know down in the comments. I read every single one of them. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next discussion.